Hey, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're talking about our AEW in crisis. Hey, Scott Barrett. Welcome back to the Burning Truth. And tonight I'm joined once again by my co-host, the man with the stash. It's Matt Burns, everybody.
Thank you.
We're both we're the men with the stashes these days because look, I've grown myself a little slug as well.
I'm just trying to think of a nice way to say it, but no, I can't think of anything.
You can't think of a nice way to say that's a nice mustache, Scott.
No, I meant as in the nicknames for us.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The nickname like the mustachio duo or something.
We'll just go with the Hammer Slammers for now, Matt Burns.
Hammer Slammers, it sticks, and that is a mighty fine stash.
No, there's already. You've got to think. Actually, I was just thinking. There's already
a bit of a soul patch there as well.
Yeah, got that going on. There's already a channel, a wrestling-related channel that has stash in the name, isn't there? So we're gonna have to leave that alone. We can't be those guys. Do you know what? In fact, I'm gonna shave my stash tonight and be anti-stash just for that reason.
Fine. Well, let's just say that.
Unless you want to poach me for their channel from yours, in which case I'm more than happy to go.
I will say, with your soul patch there, be careful. The Rock might come for you.
It is. Yeah.
He wants your soul.
Here I am, the soul taker. Anyway, the reason we're here tonight, Matt Burns, is to discuss AEW. Are they in crisis? In short, we've been talking about we used to talk about AEW on the podcast really regularly.
Yeah.
And when we first regenerated the Burning Truth in September last year now.
Yep.
We talked at length about how we wanted it not just to be a WWE podcast and that it needed to include other wrestling promotions. And what's happened over the last 6 months, and I don't know if you agree with this off the bat, but AEW has become a really negative word for us in that it feels like whenever we talk about AEW, we're talking about it in a negative way. So the reason for this video tonight is for us to talk through what is wrong with AEW, what are the issues in AEW, and if we were running AEW, how would we fix them?
Well, case in point with you just saying the fact that we should be discussing an alternative, bear in mind that we've also been we've actually been talking more about other products, either locally or even where Impact, what used to be Impact Wrestling, TNA.
Yeah. TNA we've been talking about loads. And we still do talk about AEW, but we feel like I feel like sometimes we shy away from talking about AEW simply because the product hasn't been good enough for us to want to talk about it. And whenever we have talked about it, it's been a negative.
Yeah, and I think the reason why we did that is more or less because we don't want to be negative if we can be as much as possible. But it's now come to a point where we've got to air it out. We've got to discuss it. And for me, I feel as though certain things that have been happening on there lately it's got a few good things going for us, a few good little storylines, little bits and bobs.
And I think the best way to start this out is if you are watching along with us, or if you're watching this back at a later date, because we are currently live on YouTube. But if you are watching this, the first question I want to pose, and I'm going to put it in the live chat, is what are the issues with the AEW product? Let us know what you think the problems are. Me and Matt Burns are going to probably talk at length now about what we think the issues are with the product. But yeah, we want to have your thoughts too. So if you're watching this live, put it in the live chat. If you are watching this at a later time, put it in the comments below. We really want to hear your comments. And before we go any further, just to talk about the YouTube channel, please like, share, and subscribe to the video. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, as it says at the bottom. So please help us get there. Every single subscription really counts on this YouTube model. So please help us out, do all the good stuff, and help the Burning Truth keep burning and keep growing. Right, Matt Burns, AEW.
Where do we start? Because right now, with most wrestling companies, you'd assume that you'd want your best foot forward, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you'd want your main event scene picture to be the highlight, the must see. Everybody wants to be there every week.
Okay.
Why is it that I when I've been watching it, I've just gone, move on, blank.
Now,
Why is that?
Now, can I answer that? I don't think I can. I don't watch AEW as regularly as you. I do have my own thoughts on the bits that I have watched because I am probably less than a casual viewer of AEW. I tend to watch if something interesting's happened or if I've been, been asked to watch something by you. Have you seen this?
And that's your answer there. You've just
Yeah.
you've just sort of give the answer, part of my answer already, because the fact is, have I had to say to you automatically, something epic has actually happened. You must see this.
Rarely.
Which is a concern.
In fact, the last time it happened, the last time it happened wasn't that long ago. Actually, it was some of the Tony Storm stuff, which fair dues has been fabulous. But prior to that, the last time before that was the Bag for Life incident with Daniel Bryan and John Moxley.
Yeah, straight away. So it's like right now we've got Moxley in the he's got a group and he's meant to be taking over. And I felt as though when the whole group came about, there was the talk of Shane McMahon being involved, which there was a lot of hype around it. What have they
dropped off, right?
Dropped off. It's got to the point where it's like, I'm here every week, and it's like, right. So
do you feel like they've creatively moved themselves to a corner in the main event scene that they don't know how to get out of?
Pretty much, and what makes it even worse is the fact that they're not learning from their mistakes. Because bear in mind, yes, we know that group has got the numbers game. So don't you think that a challenger or someone who's got experience would go in against Moxley with backup?
Yeah, and what we're finding is that he's continuously being challenged by solo stars with no friends.
Bear in mind that we also had Christian Cage, who got his guaranteed shot.
Yeah, and they sort of hit the hard reset on that, didn't they? I think they didn't have a plan for that either. So from what I can gather, they cashed him in a bit of a nothing way just to sort of get it done and get it over with.
Pretty much. And what made it really, really bad about it is that I felt as though could have been like a daylight robbery thing. If they want to get the belt off Moxley, if you want to get some general major heat on Christian, why don't you have it where they built up Moxley as this undefeated villain, right? The hero finally gets, finally gets the win. Yes, but Christian Cage walked down and literally costed him.
What though? Yeah, absolutely. I get that. What world title?
The AEW world title. Wait. Exactly. My point. The one that's not even been on TV. But God, since Moxley's had it, it's been in a supposedly briefcase and hidden away, which...
Why? What's the reasoning behind that? Have they ever explained that?
If anyone wants to earn the right to have it back, they've got to beat me for it. That's pretty much it. It's just that's my property. I can do with what I want with it, and everyone will get to see it when it's my AEW. But the problem is, there's been no progression, no serious threat of them taking over AEW. They might be burning it to the ground. Don't you think they would be attacking the management now at this stage?
I just think, I'm just going to change gears slightly here, Matt Burns, because we've got a lot to go through. But I think if we first look at wrestling fans love the viewership numbers, right? We love ratings. And if you go back to 2021, AEW were enjoying numbers exceeding over 1 million viewers in the US.
Yeah.
And by the end of last year, the show was failing to get over 600,000 people to watch in the US, which is a significant drop, 40% drop, right?
Yeah.
I believe that trend has only continued into this year. And is that a direct correlation to, do you think that is a direct correlation to the creative that was seen on the show?
Yes.
So it's not necessarily star power, because that's the argument that I suppose some diehard AEW fans are making, is that when you haven't got your stars on TV, not as many people will watch. And obviously, we had the Young Bucks missing Kenny Omega for long stretches of time. But do you feel like it's nothing to do with that, and it is the creative that's driving it?
Part of it is creative, and part of it is AEW going, "Oh, look, I got a new shiny toy. Play with it for a little bit, and see you later."
For example,
look at anybody who's joined the roster recently.
Swerve, is that a good example?
Swerve, he did
a little bit and then lost him.
Lost him. Okay, he did the whole Hangman Adam Page situation. Since then, what's he done?
Yeah, he had a title run. Then he had the Hangman Page thing, and then he's disappeared. Right? Was he on telly this week? I don't know.
He did he did a bit of work with Ricochet, which ended up being over the embassy jacket and
over the what?
Embassy jacket. It's his faction. It's his faction.
Right.
Former faction, which used to be part of ROH history with his manager. So as you can imagine, it just felt as though it just didn't feel quite surreal. And supposedly, right now, Swerve's meant to be the most dangerous man in AEW. Yet Mox managed to sneak up on him and hit him with a bar in the back of the legs.
So do we think the storylines are rushed or lacking logical progression?
Some of it is lacking common sense.
Right.
Common sense, because if you've been watching the product, if you've been watching it, if you're part of the product, you should be effectively watching the product. If you want to be in the heavyweight, if you want to be the world champion, you would be watching that that entire scene to see what mistakes the champion is making, what to avoid.
AEW hasn't always struggled with its creative, though, right?
It hasn't, and yet it's had some great stellar things, like the women's division, Toni Storm. The fact that she's managed to reinvent herself into timeless Toni Storm, and the way she's actually progressed that.
But if you throw enough crap at the wall, eventually something's going to stick, right?
To a degree, yes, but the fact is, they actually played a little bit around with it. With the factor with Mariah May, the whole amnesia sort of thing, and then sort of find out it was all an act, which I thought was quite clever. So they were flexing a little bit with what ability that Toni Storm had got. But the problem, as I've said so far, name me what's happened so far with every new arrival. Every new arrival. Daniel Bryan, come in, now retired. Adam Cole, maybe was aiming for the the AEW World Championship. Where is he now? What's he doing now?
Okay, well, let's go back to the creative for a second. I think maybe something that I see as an outsider looking in, and I know we're all outsiders, but I mean, I'm not even really in the fan base for AEW.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, nice. AEW's creative process, or that I understood when it first kicked off, was that it was more of a committee style approach with Tony Khan, but also with Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and they would help develop storylines and book matches as a team, as a collaborative effort. That's my understanding of it. Whereas these days, it seems to be we've transitioned to wrestling for one man, similar to the Vince McMahon model, where Tony Khan now sort of oversees all of creative and is almost the entire creative department on his own.
Yeah. It feels that way. And the biggest issue is the fact that you've also got the added fact of Bully Ray's been on social media saying that Tony Khan should stay off of social media.
Yeah,
stay off
TV as well.
Which it's like now we've got a coming up technically later today, or later on, we've got Cope versus Mox in a world title street fight.
Right.
Does anybody think that Cope's going to actually win it?
Well, no. But I'm interested in this move to this Tony Khan-led model. So this is a guy who's got no experience booking shows, if you like, other than he obviously owns the company, or a great proportion of it, as far as we know. And he's been a wrestling fan for a long time. But just because somebody's a good wrestling fan and they might have played Extreme Warfare Revenge at some point, doesn't necessarily mean they're a good creative hand. So I get that he wants all the shows potentially, and probably the logic behind this is he wants them to have a unified vision, one person overseeing all of creative. But I do think the committee model is always a lot better, because at least you get a lot of diverse and different input from different people. And if he's taken the approach now of my way or the highway, that's probably why we're starting to see things stagnate, because he will always push the same people. He will always think about the same people, or the people that are in his mind at that time. And it's almost like you're booking for an audience of one then.
It's, yeah, to a degree. But the thing is, yes, they are getting some cool matches in on the odd occasion. But like you said, throw enough around something that's going to stick.
I also think, though, that like having a great match is fine. And if we had John Cena versus Cody Rhodes at this year's WrestleMania with no story, it would still be good. But the story that we're getting for that match right now makes it incredibly compelling. So that's my point, is that you can throw matches out as much as you want. You can do 6-star matches in the Tokyo Dome, but the American audience, the UK audience, the European audience, certainly, we want story as well. And that's what we're lacking. I think it's interesting what Eric Bischoff said on his podcast not so long ago, which was, no one in AEW, I'm just reading the quote here, no one in AEW knows how to tell a story. So I don't know if that is completely true, Eric Bischoff's take, but that's certainly his perspective based on what he's seen. And Tony Khan then, defended AEW's creative vision. And he said there's a lot of internet criticism, but he was standing by the company's direction. And I just think if you don't pivot, this will continue, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the biggest issue I have with it is, where's the story that's meant to be gluing us?
Yeah.
Where is the story? Because right now, Mox has got a feud going on with Cope. He's got a feud now with Swerve Strickland, because Swerve's meant to be getting him, fighting for the number. He's the number one contender, seeing as he beat Ricochet, and in the number one contenders match. Okay, but yeah, somehow as that match was and that was done and confirmed, it was then suddenly thrown in that even though Cope didn't win in the last pay-per-view, he's somehow got another match at Street Fight. So it's like, why was there a number one contenders match for a later World Championship match when you're going to have the champ defend it sooner than the schedule match that somebody's already fought to be the number one contender for?
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken,
that common sense, logical. Why are we doing it? What's the?
Yeah, and secondly, if you lose them, if you confuse them, you lose them. The fact that me just talking about it even got me confused over the actual quote. I'm not confused over it.
Yeah, I've gone cross-eyed.
Yeah, pretty much.
I suppose the question then is, Matt, then, so we know there's an issue with the creative and the storytelling. What are the issues, the specific issues in the storytelling? It's common sense as the first one. We've hit the nail on the head. What else is there?
The common sense, the fact that it's like when you're bringing in someone new, where's the hype? Okay,
so I speak Matt Burns a little bit, and I think what you're getting at here is how do you introduce new stars to the AEW audience?
Yeah,
and how do you make them invested in those characters? And probably what you're getting at here is we just chuck them on TV, let them have a good match, and that's it.
Pretty much, or they just turn up. That's
it.
They
turn up. Yeah,
it's like case in point, what happened? Oh, Adam Cole just turned up. There he was. Then immediately straight after, Brian Danielson just turned up. Okay. Then somebody else has turned up. Then the CEO turned, Mercedes Moné.
Yeah, feels like the first week Hulk Hogan took over TNA.
Yeah, and then right now, do you know who the latest now with newbie is? That's on there. Speedball Mike Bailey.
Oh yeah.
Right. How did they introduce him? Did he have a hype video? Did he have anything to introduce him? Anything to reveal? No, he was just put in part of a tournament and put in as mystery guy.
And do you know what, the mystery guy thing I quite like. I don't think WWE uses that. But
I like the fact that they did the mystery guy, but the point being is they didn't sort of reveal the mystery guy until they had like less than a week.
Yeah, and I also think when we compare what you've just said there to the WWE again, because it's it's not competition, but it certainly is the biggest wrestling promotion in the world. And when we think about how it's just introduced its newest star in Penta,
yeah,
we think about the couple of weeks of hype videos, the huge announcement that he would be on the second Netflix on Raw, then the fact that how they put him over in those first couple of weeks in matches, they made him feel like a big deal. And they still, this wasn't a shiny new toy that we were going to chuck into a really important place on the roster. Even in this making him feel like a big deal, he was just beating lower mid carders and jobbers and looking really good in the process. So I agree that I think AEW could do a much better job of introducing new characters to their audience.
Well, another case in point right now, as you've just mentioned, but at the moment right now, there's actually 2 hype packages on WWE right now of 2 different individuals.
Yeah.
Which automatically, they haven't revealed who they are, but the fact that you can speculate
about somebody coming, yeah.
Yeah.
And
which personally,
you go back, WWE have always done that really well. If you go back to the 80s and the early 90s, the vignettes for Mr. Perfect, for Ted DiBiase, etc.
Yeah.
The Bushwhackers even. However, AEW don't do that very well. I agree. So, okay. So number one is, in terms of the creative direction, is the common sense storytelling. Number 2 is how they treat new stars and how they hype new stars and introduce them to the audience. So what's maybe the third biggest problem with AEW's creative in your mind?
Third biggest.
Because I want to pose something to you before you come out with this. And you might have the same quote. You might have the same, not quote, but you might have the same issue. But for me, I think it's consistency in building new stars.
You just hit the nail.
Okay, so talk to us about that a little bit.
You've just hit the nail. Bear in mind that we've got Ricochet, who's come in, and he was getting over. He was doing a little bit, and then the crowd sort of turned on him. It's like, okay, so let's turn him. You've turned him. Other than stabbing Swerve with the scissors and stealing a fancy jacket, what credibility does Swerve have for his feud since he's turned? What has he earned? Has he earned any championships? Has he put himself in a good position? Is he being treated as a megastar?
Is he a megastar? I don't know.
No,
Swerve is a better example of this for me than Ricochet. And you may disagree, but I know we've already touched on Swerve once. So short world title reign, good short world title reign.
Yep.
Cracking feud with Adam Page.
Yep. Case in point. Yeah. Phenomenal.
Where is he now?
He's number 1 contender for the world heavyweight title.
Right. So he is still the number 1 contender. So we've got a bit of consistency there. When's the last time we severely pushed a new worker on the roster? Not like a new character like Ricochet, but like a new main event star, somebody that we're grooming. So I think back to a couple of years ago, maybe we did a really good job of it when AEW first was created with Adam Page, I believe. We spent 2 years building Adam Page up for the world title.
Yep.
Yeah, MJF, they've built him up really well over the years. He's in a really good place. But we haven't done that since. We've done it a little bit with Swerve, but I feel like we get cold feet and we take the belt off him. And I can't see him beating Moxley.
Yep, with the fact that he's getting jumped from behind just by Moxley himself.
So who else? AEW? Who else are the next lot of stars? Who are the main event in AEW in 5 years? Can you answer that question?
No.
Because I can answer it again. I know we keep doing this, but I can answer that for WWE. The main event for WWE in 5 years is Bron Breakker versus Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah.
Right? Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
There's more examples. Solo Sikoa. There's Austin Theory. There are workers that they are. Obafemi is 24 years old. 24 years old. Right.
Exactly.
You think about that and how these characters are coming through and being built up over time. You can afford to have the likes of AJ Styles, Seth Rollins talking about retirement because they're building the next crop of stars coming through. AEW aren't doing that for me.
No, they're not. And the problem that they've also got is the fact that at the same time as while they've got that, yes, they could eventually go down the route of having a certain aerial assassin in the main event picture, but he's currently doing his own little thing, his own current storyline and everything at the moment, which, to be honest with you, if I'm not mistaken, the aerial, give me a second.
Osprey. Yeah.
Well, Osprey.
So that's great. We're talking about Osprey, and I understand that if he is somebody that we are pushing and bringing up to the next level, that's fine. I don't know how old he is offhand. I imagine 20s, is he?
Will Osprey.
Maybe 30. So he's got another 10 years at least. Maybe
well,
a bit.
He might not be depending on. He's 31.
31. So another 10 years probably on that roster. So that's great.
Yeah.
If we build him up right in 5 years, he could be the main event in that promotion. He could be the main event in that promotion now. But who's going to wrestle him?
No, this is me point. The fact is, at the moment right now, most of the heavy, the top end guys that they've got aren't even in the main event picture.
Yeah, or even in an upper mid card position.
Some of them are either feuding against each other or they're doing something else, and it's like MJF right now, right? He's supposedly feuding with Hangman Adam Page, who they've supposedly turned back into a face, even though he swept Swerve, he sort of set fire to Swerve's childhood home.
Yeah.
Reasons. No, but make it make sense. But straight away, and at the same time, while he's sort of cutting a promo saying this ain't over, he's now entering a supposed program with a certain MVP potentially, and possibly having links to the Hurt Business.
Yeah,
whether he's joining them or not. But the problem is, if he isn't joining them, is that MJF turning face, or is that the Hurt Business turning face? We don't know.
Probably neither, because to your point in the beginning, common sense is lacking in AEW storytelling.
We don't know who's face, who's heel, or anything. I used to be excited almost every week to see, Jeff Jarrett. Where is he?
Yeah, where's Double J? Well, he started to get himself over, and because of that, Tony did the classic Vince McMahon. That's not the guy I want to get over, so now we're going to take him off TV or bury him. And
put him on pre-shows.
Yeah, so we can cheer somebody else. Yeah. Even though the entire world would have loved to have seen Jeff Jarrett pick up a world title. World title, even if it was for a day and then Christian Cage cashed in. Right. We all wanted to see Jeff with the title, and we missed out on that now because just because it wasn't in the plans for that one guy. And I think you've got to be able to pivot sometimes if it's what the fans want. Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30 was what the fans wanted, and they pivoted, right? Even in the worst of times for WWE Creative, they still made the decision to pivot, and I feel like we miss that sometimes.
Which says to me, AEW is meant to be the alternative, is meant to be for the fans.
Yeah.
and yet they're not pivoting. They're not following. They're not following the fans. The fans are giving a reaction, telling them what they want, and the fans aren't. It's almost like they've lost somebody who's used to be their ambassador, to be the voice of the voiceless. Supposedly. Oh wait, he moved over to another company called WWE.
Yeah, absolutely. As we hit 30 minutes on this video, Matt Burns, I just want to take a couple of seconds to
plug something. Discuss.
Talk about. Well, bear with.
Okay. To
talk about the brand new It's Stiffy Time t-shirts on the burningtruthuk.com. So this is our jokey version of the It's Stiffy Time catchphrase from WWE. It's Stiffy Time. You know what it's all about, guys. You know that when she's on TV, you get a little bit tight downstairs, and that's why you now can tell everybody how you're getting on with your It's Stiffy Time t-shirt. If you love wrestling and you want to show off, this is the t-shirt for you. It's a playful twist, and it's sure to turn heads and get a few laughs. If you're repping at a wrestling show, kicking back, watching The Burning Truth, or just causing a little mischief, this shirt is the perfect conversation starter. So get yourself over to theburningtruthuk.com for the It's Stiffy Time t-shirt. Thank you.
It's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek, and bear this in mind that it all got created from a flub.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't catch my words, and that's where we ended up. But yeah, it's Stiffy Time. TheBurningTruthUK.com. You can have that one on me. Enjoy.
Wait. All I'll say to you is, he called it. He called it.
And I'm going to be repping mine. I've got mine ordered, Matt Burns. It's on its way. It's been shipped to my address, and I'll be repping it in the next couple of weeks on The Burning Truth on all our live streams. You can see me in my It's Stiffy Time t-shirt. When she's on the TV, it gets tight downstairs. Right. So we are now at the point where we've figured it out, Matt Burns. We've got three things that we think is wrong with AEW's creative, right?
Yeah.
It's one, common sense.
Yeah.
It's two, I was waiting for you. Sorry. It's two.
Oh, right. Two, we've got common sense, not knowing what to do with any new arrivals or new toys.
New toys, yeah, new stars, and how to consistently push those new stars. And number three,
you're trying to challenge me
for half an hour. Come on, we've been doing this for half an hour.
You're trying to challenge me here. What's going on? I thought we'd taken turns in it.
It's. I thought number two was one man's vision as opposed to collaboration.
But the thing is, that's not the actual order that we're actually putting them in. Me personally, I think the one man vision should be the top reason.
Yeah.
Because I think.
Sorry, the reason I asked you that, Matt Burns, and it wasn't to catch you out, I promise. It was so we could talk about how we fix it going forward.
Yeah. Straight away, personally, I think what he should be doing is taking a step back away from the social media.
Yeah, away from being on TV.
Yeah. And it's fine having some of your VPs as champion, right? But the problem is one of your VPs who's champion now isn't on the TV. He's probably off resting up because he's still, sort of, he might not be as regular because he's got a few bumps and bruises from past injuries and everything.
Yeah.
Which is why we're doing a whole tournament for it. Okay, that's fine. But last year it was for the main championship. Now it's for a mid-tier championship.
Well, I mean, everyone's a champion in AEW anyway. So
yeah. So straight away, it's the fact that you've got a champion who's not going to be there for a bit and he's sort of resting up, which is another sort of issue. You need to stop leaning so much on the VPs and as in on their feedback, because if they're part of the actual product, and as such, if they're part of the product, of course they're going to lean the product towards themselves.
Yeah,
of course they are, and unless they are very humble, reserved, and know that to avoid certain loop, certain traps, certain things, or possibly, if it's meant to be a committee, it should be treated as a committee.
And we're hearing that it's not a committee anymore, and that he wants to take full ownership to give a tighter hold over the creative direction, a more hands-on approach, which is what we've seen the last couple of years. And what you're saying doesn't work.
Yeah, doesn't work.
So number one thing to fix AEW is to take a step back and let other creative voices come forward.
Let other creative voices, because bear in mind, you've got people there like Jerry Lynn available there for you at the time.
Daniels.
Christopher Daniels. Okay, yeah, spot on. You've got many other individuals there who are on the product, but they're not actually wrestling on the product.
We said his name before, right? Who ran creative at TNA for years?
Oh, Eric Bischoff.
Double J.
And Double J. Another one.
Eric ran AEW creative, amongst other things, as the owner for years.
Yeah, another person they could possibly even reach out to, seeing as he was no longer with TNA anymore. Scott D'Amore.
Scott D'Amore's a great shout. Although there's rumors that he's
doing his own thing. He's got his own thing going on.
Yeah, there was rumors not long ago that he was working with WWE again as well.
Which just basically AKA I rest my case on Scott D'Amore.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He'd be a great person to have around.
It proves me point.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the first person I'd call, though. Unfortunately, Tony's burnt his bridges with Eric, but I would be calling Eric, and the other person I would be calling is Bully Ray. They'd be my first two phone calls.
But Bully Ray's also probably going to be burning bridges because he's the one who's turning around saying, "Get off social media."
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying though is, you've got to be a bigger person here. If there are people, Bully Ray is somebody that could definitely help from a creative point, and it's almost better having him inside pissing out than outside pissing in.
Yeah, and at the same time, with Bully Ray, I feel as though at times his insight at times is really, really interesting. Absolutely. And if you want a good, he might not be able to do it because at the moment he's part of Legends and Future Greats for the WWE. But I've been checking up on that, and I will say it is very interesting to find out his sort of style. Now, a lot of people can sit there and say, "Oh, he's like an old schooler, he's a bit rough around, he's rough on the ear."
He's not a Bill DeMott, is he?
No, he's not exactly. But the point being is, hang on, bear with me.
He's on the phone.
No idea, but it's been answered. But
he can't asking you for some help.
Call me mobile.
Go on,
and send a check. But anyway, that aside, point being is, it's really interesting because it looks like he's been rough with the actual talent, but then when you come outside and he has that private talk, he actually reveals what his actual game is, and it shows the fact that he's very, very committed to the business.
Oh, 100%.
And another person who shows that is Taker on there.
Yeah.
Taker, because straight away, right now, I know some fans are saying, "What's he on about? Moves, cool moves mean, don't always mean the big picture." Well, the cool move, you can do a fancy move and get a "oh wow" for that one moment, for that 1 second, but it's not a moment. If you get a storyline that creates a monumental moment, that's going to stick in your head more. Because answer me this: do people remember a certain stunner, or do they remember the infamous beer truck incident that happened on Raw?
That's the answer, right? So you can have those shock and awe moments, but at the end of the day, you don't remember Undertaker for Mankind falling off the cage, right? Off the Hell in a Cell. You don't remember the Undertaker for that. You know what you remember the Undertaker for?
Go on.
His hand coming out of the grave. You remember him for the entrance at WrestleMania 20 when he returned as the Dead Man after that 6-month arc. You remember him, putting Stone Cold on the cross. Those are the things you remember because they were quality stories. But, Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. Right, okay. So number one was Tony Khan take a step back and bring some people in who they know what they're talking about.
Bring some people back and also listen to your fans.
Yeah, okay. So number two, what do we want to do about new stars? How do we fix that?
Case in point, bring it if you're going to be bringing them in. If you've got someone, if you want to do a surprise reveal, that's fine. That's okay. You can do that. But understand that whenever you're bringing them in, you're going to be hot shotting them straight into that main event picture or whatever picture. And bear in mind, what's going to make it look more sucky for them to join, what's going to make others consider going to them is if I've debuted and first match I've lost because I went for the main title.
Yeah, I agree that. And I also think, wins and losses don't matter in that as much as the story does. But I think for me, the thing is with surprises and hot shots is that it's never really well thought out afterwards. So whenever you do that and you hot shot somebody in, so somebody is a surprise person, it's what we do with them next. And there's often not a follow-up plan.
Yeah.
So we fix that. We make sure if we debut somebody or we have somebody return that we've got at least 12 weeks mapped out for them minimum.
Yeah. Planned out, have a long-term plan. Play the long game, not the short game, because the short game can get you a quick boost to a degree of ratings, right? That's fine. But then if that boost isn't continuing the product to build it up, then you're going to need another shot in the arm again to bring somebody else new in, which that was the whole reason why you brought the previous guy in.
Should we give an example? Should we give an example from a different company? WWE, Gallows and Anderson. We bought them back. There was no plan. Eventually, they leave the company again.
Yeah.
You've got to have a plan. It happens on both shows. I don't want to say it exclusively happens on AEW, but that is one way that we could fix it by making sure that if we have people, debuting or returning, making sure we've got at least 12 weeks mapped out for them. And to your point, long-term plan for them. Because if we haven't, then why are we bringing them back and putting them in a feature spot on TV?
Exactly. Because bear in mind that right now, CM Punk made a return to WWE. Okay, it didn't always go to perfect plan because there was an injury, but yet they were able to pivot to adjust that storyline, and then as soon as he's all clear, return straight back into that plan again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so the third problem, Matt Burns, was common sense.
Yeah.
How do we fix that in AEW?
If you have got your stars repeatedly being attacked by a certain individual or a certain group, you should be having them learn from their past mistakes. You should be sort of being consistent on the booking, because it's fine and dandy having a group smash and beat up people all the time. Bear in mind, yes, the Shield did it all for quite a while, but didn't the Shield sort of eventually start getting outnumbered by the WWE roster?
Yeah.
Sort of ganged up on. So
yeah,
then
eventually we had like Team Hell No and the Big Show, for example.
Yeah. That's my point. The point being is they ended up building up certain groups or certain things to combat them. And it feels like they are meant to be doing this because you've got like Swerve, Cope, and where the Switchblade at the moment. So straight away, it's like, okay, you've got three guys there. Why aren't they? Why aren't we getting together? Now, if I'm not mistaken, the Switchblade's meant to be in a faction already. Bullet Club Gold or the Gun Club. The Guns Club. Okay, what happened to the boys? Oh yeah, they got beat up, and since they returned, had a tag match, and what have they done since? Nowhere can see.
I've got in my notes here. It's almost, consistent. It goes back to what we talked about one man bringing other voices in, giving talent and input on their own character, but making sure that their characters are being consistent in their actions. Because that's one of the first things, doesn't make sense that this person would do this. The other thing is, I think, just streamline stories, almost simplify, but avoid overbooking.
Yeah.
Doing too much. Sometimes we do too much.
I think a funny line that happened recently, and this was at a WWE post show.
Yeah.
EO got asked when she was going to be in a match with a certain individual, and she goes, "What happens if they bring this thingy? How are you going to combat the numbers?" And she just sort of just looked in. She just went, "I'm part of damage control. I can just bring them in."
Yeah.
Almost like
common sense.
Yeah.
This is what I do. Yeah. Okay. So what about and then to your point, focusing on long-term storyline. So streamline the story, simplify them, avoid overbooking, make sure your characters are consistent in their actions by, gaining input from the workers themselves, plus just making sure it's more consistent in your own approach, and then focus on long-term storytelling.
Yeah, and lastly, but not least, and this is the big one, and this is probably like separate, could be separate. Start building your future stars, because you are literally right now focusing on your main guys, which was a problem that WWE had for quite a while. They weren't focusing on the next generation, and then when it comes to time to shift for the main guys to start dwindling their careers down, and for the next lot to come in, who have they got there that is going to be their next future world champions, their next main guys?
Who's the main event in 5 years for All In? And I suppose to that point, you don't get, if everybody's a champion, nobody's the champion. Giving everybody a belt doesn't necessarily get them over.
And and bear this in mind that there was also rumors of them sort of merging some belts together.
Yeah.
Which I'm all for.
Yeah. But also, Matt Burns, to a point you made earlier on about, I think, Kenny Omega and, probably the Young Bucks here as well. You can be the best wrestlers in the world. You can have the best ability in the world. But you know what the number one best ability is, Matt Burns?
Go on.
Availability.
Yeah.
And if you're not available, you're no good to us. So I think with that, Matt Burns, we've pretty much sussed how to fix AEW.
Yeah.
It took us 45 minutes.
And what I find concerning with that is we've just been talking for 45 minutes in regards to it, and we've even given a free action plan for them.
Not exactly smart objectives, but certainly somewhere to start.
It might not be a smart objective, but it's a simple start. And sometimes
certainly focus on.
Yeah, I feel as though the biggest problem that Tony Khan's got right now is he's not following a certain method that both of us are fans of. Keep it simple.
Stupid.
Yep.
The KISS method, absolutely.
The KISS method. Yes, the second S might be silent for some individuals, and if you're being an idiot and not messing up, then the second S is definitely fitting for it. But keeping it simple works. When you overcomplicate things.
So back to the title of this video, Matt Burns. Is AEW in crisis? Well, financially, no.
No, they're not.
As a business, no. But creatively, hell yes. Are AEW in crisis? And if you've watched this video, we hope you've enjoyed, because all we wanted to do was give our thoughts on how you fix it. And I think hopefully we've done that. Yeah.
And another thing to point out as well is if anybody else thinks there's certain things that, they want to hear our input on.
Oh, yeah.
Be it, why not send us a message, put a comment in, email us, contact us somehow, either through social media or even going to the website, at www.theburningtruthuk.com.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've got any thoughts about how you would fix AEW, get it in the comments below on this video. And again, please subscribe to the channel. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. We are trying our best to get there by the end of the year. It's slow going. We're nearly at 200 subscribers. So every single subscription helps. Please help us out. Hit the subscribe button, hit like, share the video. And what do we always say, Matt Burns? Do all the good stuff.
Do all the good stuff, of course.
Tell me
But
about the socials.
of course, well, we're across on Facebook, Twitter, well, X. We're on Blue Sky. We're on Instagram. We've got there's so
Threads.
much.
We're on Threads. We're on TikTok. We're bloody everywhere,
Threads,
Matt.
TikTok. We're everywhere. All you got to do is look for the belt. Type in the Burning Truth and look for the belt.
Look for the belt.
It's not exactly hard to miss.
No, absolutely not. And again, if you want to visit the website, theburningtruthuk.com, and pick up your It's Stiffy Time t-shirt, we're all going to be wearing them because, hey, when Tiffy's on TV, it gets tight downstairs.
But of course, there's also, but at the same time, just as a little bit of a hint as well, there could be some even new brands coming, brand new t-shirts potentially coming out. Absolutely. So just as a last, nice little cheap plug.
Yeah, nice little cheap plug there. So yeah, with that, we hope you enjoyed the video. We've had loads of fun, and we hope to see you on the next one.
Definitely. And if you have got a topic for us to discuss about, like we have done, the thing is, who knows? It could be what can WWE do to get NXT up to the same level as SmackDown and Raw, which the answer is already is.
What would it take for TNA to be the second competition to WWE and overtake AEW?
Yeah, or how can Tony Khan elevate ROH into
even better question? Why should anybody care about ROH?
Case in point.
That's it. There's more thing to say, Matt. But go on. This sounds important.
Last one. And what is the current views and flexibility of the independent scene?
Absolutely, yeah. Get all those thoughts in the comments below. And I suppose there's only one thing left to say, Matt Burns, and that's some letters that you talk about sometimes.
Oh, of course. But more importantly, as we always keep saying, keep being fired up, keep showing your passion for wrestling. We absolutely love it. But more importantly, we always say DFTBA, and in case you don't know what it means, don't forget to be awesome.
AEW, where the best wrestle and the worst tell stories.